It's a long one.
0.75.
0.2.
The intro's played. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Owl Recap, a talk show focused on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob, and I'm joined by Mel. How are you doing, Mel?
Hey, I'm good. You remembered to ask me today.
Well, why don't you tell us how your week's been?
Well, I got this really cool new stuff in the mail from a fairy that brought me stuff that I don't think I paid for. But it's a lot of Outlaws gear, and I'm lovely. I have my Outlaws hoodie on right now, and my Outlaws sweatpants. So I'm feeling pretty comfy and fashionable.
You look pretty comfy. Well, we also have a special guest this week. The man with somewhat of a plan and the sworn enemy of all things Dallas Fuel. Welcome to the show, Edinar.
Well, all right. Oh, hold on. Not just the Dallas Fuel. I am including all of Texas and Canada.
I'm sorry.
What
Can we
did
disconnect
Texas
this
do
call
to you?
just for a minute?
Yeah. I'm including Canada too, because of Canada teams, we didn't get a team in Chicago, so I'm holding it against them.
Blame Chicago for that.
Well, I choose to blame everyone else.
Oh, good.
Yeah, not Chicago.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's Toronto's fault mainly. So no, thanks. Hi everyone. E Daner over here. Yeah.
Wait, what did you say?
It's E Daner. E Daner.
Okay.
It's
Listen,
Edinar.
I've been calling you Ednar.
Oh no, that's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
That is how it's done. But ever since I first guested on the Cavalry in beta,
I was before called me.
That was pre you. I knew Totem a little bit, but they called me E Daner, and then they played a fiddle. Like multi played a fiddle to introduce me to the podcast, and I was like, okay, this is weird. But so yes, no, it's been a fun week. It's been a fun week. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Edinar, he is one of two parts of the Heroes Never Die podcast, which airs weekly. You guys should check it out. It has been around for a long time, but Ed's only been on it since like episode 101, I think.
100. My first episode was episode 100.
Yep, the show had kind of a revamp, a retool, a complete change, basically from what it was before.
Yeah,
at least you didn't have a 101 and done. Psych. Just kidding.
So much history here.
Right?
All right.
And I actually, this is a little known fact, I had an Overwatch podcast myself way before that. Called The Initiative.
Really?
Initiative.
I didn't know that.
It was just through the beta and stuff like that. And I couldn't, and I had people on, and that's how I initially met Totem and Multi and all of them in Sly and Bow, and I couldn't find a co-host. So like I'd have friends that would come on, but nobody who would want to do it permanently. And I was trying, since it was in the beta, nobody like.
It's harder to get.
Nobody I knew played. Like, hey, what, you want to come talk about this game? You can't play yet. How much fun? Yeah, I have access, so I can tell you how it is. But you're SOL. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's crazy because Cavalry is the first podcast that had me on. I started podcasting. What was it, like almost 2 years ago or close to, on episode 56 of Watch Point Radio, and we're just all three cavalry babies.
So we can blame Multi for all of this.
Thank you, Multi.
Agreed.
Thank you. They called him Dad on the show, so if
that
tells
was
you
after
anything.
me. I was not part of the dad movement for Multi. I was pre-Multi dad.
Oh, Slambo was stepdad.
Yeah.
See, when I was on it, Slambo wasn't even not part of it.
Yeah.
It was pre-Slambo even.
Yep.
Well, we went off the rails quick.
Yes, we did. So
this is impressive even for me.
As always, I would like to thank our recap producer, Shazir, and all of our Patreons, as each one of you helped make this possible.
Thank you.
Tonight, we will be talking about a little bit of news, as Andreas would say. Teams, that will possibly maybe get some home games this season. They are going to announce that tomorrow when you're listening to this, but
I don't know that they're announcing it tomorrow. They're announcing the first week's schedule tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm. No, the whole schedule tomorrow.
Or the whole schedule.
Yeah, I was about to say the first week we have in the notes.
But they're not announcing the away games.
Road games.
The road trips or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, they're not announcing that tomorrow.
Well, Mel did some research, and so we're going to let her give her theories and our thoughts. Also, we will be talking about some of the week 1 matchups. So buckle up, get in, and let's get going. All right. So, tickets for the Overwatch League go on sale December 12th, and the season opener is on Valentine's Day. Lots of really upset ladies about that, I'm sure.
Listen, I would love a Valentine's Day gift of going to the season opener. I'm just saying, I might be alone in this, but if you want to take me to LA for the weekend, feel free.
I want to put the over-under on the number of marriage proposals that occur at the Blizzard Arena at 5.
Good call. I didn't even think about that.
I feel we need to have a bet on this, on how many. But see, here's the thing, Bob. For us to verify it, you have to take Mel to there to see it live in person.
And propose to me again.
Yes.
Well,
wait, no, that doesn't count part of the 5, though.
We have been.
We just have to set the trend.
We have been talking about it. So it's possible we will go there. And if we do, we will cover those proposals.
Yeah.
I need video footage. The Overwatch League love.
We have been hoarding our Patreon money, and we have bought some new equipment. So we should have some really good interviews when we do go out there. It's going to be pretty cool.
Or if they come to you.
Yes, but it seems
we don't have a team in Denver, so I don't know.
But there is an arena in Denver, so you never know. But doubtful. Maybe like an exhibition game, or maybe if they get a team next year, they'll already have a stadium ready.
If Denver gets a team over Chicago next year, I'm done with the Overwatch League.
I don't know.
We'll probably move back to Kansas, and Denver will get a team, and we'll be like,
yeah.
Yeah, that will be the official. I'm flying out to LA just to flip a table in the arena and walk out.
And we will cover that as well right here at our recap.
100%. And to Gabe, yes, 100%. All the rejections for proposals, we will also cover. Don't you worry.
They have a really big jumbotron at the Blizzard Arena. So, they could get some pretty epic coverage of these proposals.
Do you think? I think they should do a kiss cam on Valentine's Day.
Okay, that could get awkward.
I think Uber should cast it. I think Uber should cast it.
Cast the kiss cam?
No, should cast any proposal. And he's going down on one knee. Yeah.
I don't know. Sideshow did a pretty good job casting Monty and Doe's wedding.
You're right. You're right. He might have superior experience for that.
Yeah, but he was also probably fairly in the bag.
Yeah, no, we saw.
So he probably can't be in the bag. He can't be drunk. He could, in theory. You just have to be sneaky.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty
Oh.
sure those guys work really hard, but they play hard too. But I guarantee they're not drinking on the job. I can vouch for each and every one of them. All right,
For sure.
so Overwatch Mobile. It is not a real thing. Do not click on it. Do not put in your account information. It looks a lot like the Overwatch page, but it is not a real thing. Just a public safety announcement right there, real quick. Also, Nanzer did an interview on Watchpoint the other night, and he talked about some of the things that I took from it. Is he talked about a big focus on player breaks, which they've done with the 28 games instead of 40. He talked about syncing game matches with the league uh, game mat syncing game patches with the league. So, we won't have the patches so far behind what we're playing in the main game. That might make it so we have to wait for changes we want longer, but I don't know. And then the last thing I took from it
This
was
is huge. Can we talk about this real fast?
hold on. The last thing that I saw was the home city games this year, and that was a huge announcement as well. What'd you want to say, Mel?
Okay, so the singing game patches with the league, I think, is huge, right? And again, he said he couldn't promise anything, but just think about when you were playing on live and then you'd watch the Overwatch League and you'd be like, well, they don't have stupid Brigitte in their comps, so this isn't fair.
Well,
And I think
and
that it makes competitive better. It makes the game better when you can watch it at the highest level of play.
yeah, it'll make people watching be able to translate what they're seeing right into their game. Yes, of course, not with the same skill, the same team coordination, but there's a lot of people
Speak for
doing
yourself.
teams now, and they can try. I mean, they can see what these guys are doing, and I mean, I think it'll be great for everybody because I remember when Hanzo got the buff, I wanted to see him in Al so bad, but you just weren't gonna because he wasn't gonna get it till after the season was over.
Then there's so much speculation on if Hanzo's actually going to be in the meta or if people are just crazy. You
Yep,
know what I mean?
it's a lot of worthless speculation. But what about you, Ed?
Well, so here's my theory on it: is they have to ride a fine line between it because they can't just if for instance, Brigitte is on live. Okay, now she's automatically in the Overwatch League. Well, you don't want a broken character to be in the Overwatch League because that also sets a bad example. So I think she needs to go through some fine tuning patches before they even bring her in. And even her fine tuning, even though some people think she still isn't finely tuned, took a few patches because she went 2 straight patches with getting tuned to adjust her abilities. You don't want a broken character in the Overwatch League in the most visible aspect. And that's
Well,
where they have
and
to
with
ride
the
the fine line.
highest, right, the highest level players that can exploit those broken characters to the nth degree, right? Like,
Mhm.
if anybody's going to figure out how to exploit a broken Brigitte, it's going to be an Overwatch League player day one. But I do think they did say, to clarify, they did say that these will be during breaks.
Mhm.
So they're not going to just introduce something, a new change or a new patch mid stage. So they will be during breaks and they will ideally be after the, if it's a new character that they've been introduced into quick play and whatnot, and then before they get introduced to competitive maybe. And maybe it'll differ with new characters. Maybe it'll just be with character reworks. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
and if they keep it to the breaks, I think that works out just fine. It's you don't want to do it like, hey, the Gladiators versus Valiant this week played on one patch, and then the next week Gladiators versus Soul play on a totally different patch.
Yeah,
Right.
he talked
Like,
about just in between stages. So what that
yeah.
sounds like to me is they'll patch right as right as the games are over stage 1, and that's when we'll get our patch. Now, this is an opportunity, I think, for them to put in unranked into the game. Competitive rules, it's unranked, and it's always playing on the PTR patch. Now, I don't know how they would do it.
It's basically a live PTR.
Kind of, yeah. And it's something I've asked for a long time. That or make the rules different in QP so that there's just a place you can practice it without downloading a whole nother game client. It's just but some changes wouldn't fly. You wouldn't be able to do that, but most you would. And that's something they could do.
I also think too, you have to take into account the fact that there are longer breaks now between the stages, right? So if they implement a patch day 1 of the Overwatch League or towards the very end of the Overwatch League, stage 1, then they have a week at least to kind of see if it's appropriate to put in and then it goes live, right? I think there's a week in between. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, there's a complete week off. So it ends up being like a good, 11 days.
Yeah, and they can. And one thing Blizzard actually needs to do better is Overwatch. Their moneymaker is not the actual game at this point.
Mm-mm.
So they can release stuff. Yeah, they can release patches and all that stuff whenever they feel like it. If they want to release it for a specific time frame, they can do that, and it won't affect the non-competitive players, like the non-pro players. So
Right.
I think they need to do a better job of. There'll be less outcry if you kind of gear your PTR changes towards the middle end of a stage, with knowing that at the end of that stage, those changes will go to live.
See,
Right.
and I think that's what'll happen. It'll probably be like a week or two before the stage is over. You just won't have a month and a half seeing the
You
old
want to have a
patch.
whole stage on a patch that's not the same. And I think, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, we could beat the dead horse here, but I think it just makes the game better. I think it would make everybody happier. People complain about the fact that, oh, okay, it's good enough to be in competitive, but it's not good enough to be in Overwatch League. Like, I agree that they're two separate things, but you also have to think people playing competitive are trying to get better and trying to improve. So if there's an exploit that they can do in competitive that they're not putting in Overwatch League, that also draws a fine line between people being happy and complaining and what they can do to fix that. So,
Yep, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think so. Was there anything else you guys saw from that interview that you wanted to talk about besides the home cities?
No, just the home games.
Yeah, can we talk about the hype of just Watchpoint coming back?
Yeah, we definitely can.
How awesome is that? Like, I loved the fact that it was coming back, and then it was like a 2.5-hour episode.
Dude, it was long. It was touching how they hit on the v.org and how they partnered with them, and just watching that old interview. I mean, I hadn't watched that thing in years. And I watched it, a few times because I was just like, man, this was a really good speech. And just the whole thing, we got to see a lot of different segments, trying things out, but we got to hear a lot. Now, one thing I will say, Totem from High Nude Podcast did point out there was a lot of inaccurate information on the cards, specifically pertaining to what Contenders team all the new players came from. So I guess there was a lot of typos.
A lot. There were a lot of contenders, Korean contenders, mainly.
Which is just unacceptable, really.
But what was wrong with
them?
Like
they would list like the teams they came from, and they'd be the wrong teams.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it happened. I mean, all right, for me personally, I can't think of the names off the top of my head. Totem watches every Korean contenders match and every Australian, South American, and NA.
Totem lives, breathes, dies Overwatch. I don't think he sleeps. He is.
So if
you're not listening
specifically,
Yeah, if you're not listening to Totem, you need to be.
He's probably the most knowledgeable person about the tier 2 scene I've ever met in my life.
And about the tier 1 scene. I mean, just the whole scene in general.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he was. We talked a little bit pre-show about this, about his little man crush on Gu Shui from China, and I remember.
Could you pronounce that again so that we can remember for next time?
Gu Shui.
Okay, got it.
Gu Shui.
Think Feng Shui, but with Gu.
There you go.
See, there you go. See, now you're gonna remember it.
I am.
You're learning with Ednar. He called it during BlizzCon panel, like, who's the one person you're keeping an eye on in the World Cup? And everyone's like, someone from Team America, someone from the Korean team. And Totem's over here like, Gu Shui from China. Keep an eye out for this guy.
Everybody's like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? But there was a lot of, I think Kangdu Panthera had a couple players. Like, I think their roster, according to this show, was about 24 to 25 people last year.
Really killing it.
Like, everyone was from Kangdu Panthera, and I'm like, that's because the only other Korean team they know is Runaways, and that's just Vancouver.
Well, and somebody, I mean, whoever's doing that job, just be a little bit more on top of it, because esports people are nuts, man, and especially the competitive Overwatch scene. Like, I get all kinds of flack when I get stuff wrong, and so just be careful. You guys have like an ESPN quality show. There was no reason to have that. Also, did you guys hear? Our buddy Volamel got shouted out by Puckett, like, I don't know, 10 minutes into the show. Like, his article got shouted out, and I was like, oh my gosh, Volamel, great shout out. So I was pretty happy for him there too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I just wanted to point out one thing, because it's something that everyone kind of isn't seeming to talk about, is the Jimmy V stuff reminded me of this. Because Jimmy V, the Jimmy V Classic, all that stuff is all ESPN related.
Mm-hmm.
So in case people are forgetting, Overwatch is on ESPN. All of Season 2 is going to be on ESPN. I think they call it ESPN X or ESPN 2 now, or whatever.
I think it's ESPN 3, isn't it?
They rebranded it. ESPN 3 is now like ESPN X, the streaming service.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
With the finals being cast on ESPN last year, depending on what home stadiums they possibly hold other stage finals, we might have ourselves a few different ESPN 1 appearances.
That, or definitely ESPN 2. Yep. Because, I mean, that's still nationally televised. And then the Colin Cowherds of the world will freak out,
right,
as they do.
But when they first announced it, they had talked about the fact that there was going to be a like pre-show or a talk show or something on ABC, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't heard much about that since.
There was one the day after the finals.
Right, but they had talked about it being an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing, and they probably are going to wait to announce that.
Closer to Season 2.
Closer to Season 2, because I think their plan was to do it Sundays. Well, now they can't do it Sundays because they're playing matches all day Sunday.
Right.
So what are they can't do it like Monday morning, because, I mean, nobody's going to turn off The Price is Right to watch it.
Can we talk about the fact that Sundays, though? Oh, well, I guess they won't compete with football because football's over.
Yeah, football will be over. But the good news is Saturday and Sunday have EU times. They have EU. What am I looking for? EU friendly times. And I know our EU listeners and EU fans across the globe were pissed off last year when the times got changed. So this is a good. I mean, you can't fix everything, but boy, they did try.
Mm-hmm. And they moved it to 4 matches a day.
It was always 4.
Was it always 4?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was 3.
It was 3.
They had to move it to 4 with the 20 teams.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
So, but you're going to start
Ooh,
seeing
that's
more.
long days.
Yeah, because
I
like
think there'll be less breaks though.
Yeah, like I think I was looking at the schedule, and we'll talk about this more later. But like, during the week, the Thursday, Friday games, they're playing them at 8. The last game plays at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. I'm not staying up on a work night that late.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what'd you do last night? I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning watching the Charge play the Hunters, and people are gonna be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" But I mean, I get it because they're definitely. I think the later ones in the week work out better in China and Korea time. So if you like, we'll talk about that when we get to the schedule.
But yeah,
so.
I mean,
I hated the ones that were like 4:00 games. Like, I'm still at work. Like, how am I supposed to watch my Outlaws when I'm at work? It's ridiculous.
On your phone.
Life's tough, but we gotta move on. We're moving on to the Pacific Challenge in Korea. Why don't you tell us about that, Mel?
Yeah. Seoul Dynasty and Gangsu Charge, I believe, is Seoul Dynasty is hosting a Pacific Challenge in Korea, and they're just inviting people to come. It's an exhibition match. It's just for fun. It's something that I think will be exciting for the people in Korea to get to go to a live game of maybe their favorite team, Seoul Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. But is the Charge, so the Charge is a Chinese team.
Yes.
But the players on it are
a mix match.
Okay.
So like this is it's I mean, they have Chinese, they have Korean, they have a British. Like it's mainly Korean and Chinese, and then they have Kib, the DPS from Britain.
The Brigitte.
Team Britain, yeah. And I think he played for the British Hurricane last season.
I know
London's
he was on
contenders team. But he's a good DPS. He's definitely a quality DPS. Hit scan, I believe. I think he mains soldier.
Ooh, that's very, very meta, right?
Hey, you never know.
Hey,
well,
man,
isn't he the
if
one
Soldier
that
comes
Brigitte
back,
on Team
AKM's
UK?
gonna be awesome. So,
isn't he the one that played Brigitte on Team UK for the World Cup?
Oh, I was drunk for most of the World Cup.
I think so, but don't quote me on that, guys.
Yeah, I took vacation to stay at home and watch that.
There you go.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on. The preseason is going to be starting here January. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean it is, but it's probably true.
Yeah.
January 28th through February 4th. Now, this is a little different from last year. Last year, the preseason was like a month early. I think probably because they needed a lot more time to figure out what the heck else do we need.
Well, remember Fusion couldn't come to the preseason last year.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They didn't have the visas.
Yeah. When we interviewed some of the coaches, they couldn't tell us all the information.
The odd thing about this is it's only 1 week.
I mean, that's all it was last year too. I mean,
but now
remember,
you have 20 teams.
It was like a month.
No, it was a month
beforehand.
early. Yeah, it was a month early because we started the show with it, and then we did a bunch of player and coach interviews leading into season 1.
Oh, so you're saying you're surprised that preseason's only 1 week long?
No, only.
Yeah, I am saying.
Oh,
that.
you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying that it's only. I mean, you
Why?
have 20.
Because you have 20 teams.
Yeah, you're doing 1 week. So everyone, like if they did it 2 weeks, then people could start to get like if you bump it up from the 28th to the 20th or whatever, and you do the 2 weeks, and then you have a week break between when preseason ends and the actual season starts. That way, people can kind of get an idea for how the matches work.
Hold on, though. January 28th through the 4th is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days.
Are they going to play them for 8 straight days, though?
Right, but that's Monday through Monday. And I feel like they would keep their schedule of
I feel like
Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
everybody.
Sunday.
I feel like everybody will play either once or twice.
Okay, but that's the thing too. Do some teams get to play twice and some teams only have to play once?
I would not think so.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll do it like, you have to play all of your players the first game. You have to play them all at least once. Or maybe they'll just do you have to play all of your players throughout the 2 games or something like that. But with it
I think
being
that
that
was
long,
last year, wasn't it? You had to play all your players?
you had to play every player, but there was only 1 game a piece last year, if I'm correct. It was like 3 nights long, 4 nights long, 3 games a day. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's when it's supposedly starting, so tune in. All right, moving on. Panker signs 2-way contract with the Gladiators. Panker is a main tank, so the Gladiators got their main tank. Do you guys have anything to add to this?
He may be the main tank, because the one thing is they traded away Fisher this year, but they also
Wait,
signed.
what?
Yeah, they signed Roar. So Roar is the main tank for one of the 25 players of Kangdu Panthera. So they signed him away.
Time? Come on.
Yeah, they basically just rotated out 6 people every map. But they signed him to be the main tank, and Panker got brought up to be the backup main tank.
Right. He's on a 2-way contract, so
I don't think
probably
for
going to
long.
play most in contenders. You don't think?
I do not think for long, because
do you think he'll outplay Roar?
No, but I think either they'll sign him to a full contract, or another team will come in and offer him a full contract and get him away, because he's that good. Like,
Okay.
he's the backup on Gladiators right now as the main tank, when he could be the main tank on half the rosters in the Overwatch League.
What does he play?
Winston mainly. He also has a pretty mean hamster. Pretty good at Reinhardt. Orisa, he's been pretty good at. I think I've seen him on Roadhog once or twice, but like, it's really been the Winston is where he excels the most.
Mhm.
And then hamster he's one of the best I've seen on the hamster. So
and maybe they signed him to a 2-way contract because right now Winston's not necessarily in the meta, and maybe Roar is a better Rhine than Panker. And I'm talking completely speculation here, but maybe if Winston's in the meta, they pull up Panker and sign him to a full contract so that they can have that Winston. But then I don't know what they do with Roar.
Well,
yeah.
I honestly blanked as soon as you said Roar the first time. All I could think about was Katy Perry. Moving on, Fitz joins the Soul Dynasty. Does anybody know Fitz? I don't know Fitz.
No. He's one of those, who is this guy and where did he come
That's
from? Because
weird.
well, he
That was Jonak
Contenders.
last year. That was Jonak last year.
Like, he never played
Jonak didn't play any professional at all before Al.
Yeah, Fitz played I believe it was Korean trials. So never actually played in contenders even over in Korea. They just signed him. Spitfire did this earlier this year in the middle of the season. I think it was with somebody, Krill, a healer. They signed him from obscurity, like not even in contenders, just signed straight from a trials team to the Overwatch League.
What's he play?
DPS. He's a damage dealer.
Is he a hit scan, or is he more of a projectile, or is he a flex?
No idea. Like, even if you go on Liquipedia, if you go on Liquipedia, you know how they have like signature heroes.
He doesn't have any.
They don't have any for him. That's how unknown this guy is.
Well,
so I mean, Totem knew who he was.
Of course he did.
Shocker. But yeah, no, I know absolutely nothing about this guy.
Huh. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And the Mayhem signs Yip as a performance coach. Now, performance coach, what do you think that means?
I wish they could get some like consistent naming
Yeah,
and
please.
terminology and positions for me, but performance coach could be so many things. It could be like performance of outside duties other than Overwatch League. It could be like I'm going to perform for you. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it
He
could be
drives the
anything.
bus.
Yeah, no, that's timing.
He performs.
He performs for you.
No,
Yeah, I don't know.
Tavik, aka
Tavik is the bus
Pluppy.
driver.
Taimu
All right,
probably
okay.
would do it if you asked him, but he's not the bus driver.
I have no idea what this is. It could be anything from performance gameplay to health and fitness and
Right.
anything in between.
Yeah.
Like, all
Yeah,
right, way to narrow it
performance.
down for us, Mayhem.
I mean, it
At least you're
sounds like
signing a coach.
it sounds like an analyst analyzing performance. But
It sounds like that, but it's not an analyst job. So I'm going
But-
to go with he's a performer.
Yeah, okay, so instead of hiring a chef like the Fantastic Fusion did, they hired themselves
They
a
hired
court
a performer.
jester.
Yeah.
What if he's
We're
just
gonna get
juggles?
reamed. This guy is probably awesome, and we're gonna get reamed
Yeah.
for this.
He's like, Yip's like, I hate these people. I'll recap.
I'm not a performer.
Be like, hey, Yip,
Well,
do
hey,
you juggle?
just
Are
to
you
clarify,
good
Yip, we are not mad at you. We are mad at your owners for
Title.
whoever made up the freaking names. We're mad at them. We want you guys to all get together, maybe like some sort of union or something, and just decide all these different things. So
Yes, because this is why they need a union. not for player contracts or anything. We need it so
Well-
Yip can get a normal
So you can't just hire
job title.
performers without giving them titles that
you
they
could
deserve.
have like employee unions where they protect, if you do a certain job, it's looked at as more money, so you get more money. It could help. But moving on, I'm going to turn it over to Mel to talk about the Washington and Boston ads, as I have talked too long.
All right, so we're just going to breeze through these because they're not too exciting. But Washington added Hayanu, which is a Lucio player. They added Fazix, which is mainly an Ana player. They added Guido, who is a Zen player, and Ado, who is a Genji player. So
Who was
for
awesome
Washington,
on
go ahead.
Ado was like one of the bright spots on the Seoul, not the Seoul, the
Shanghai
Dragons. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was, and it'll be exciting to see what he can do with different people around him. I mean, I think all the Shanghai players in their own right probably had potential, but put together really failed, right? So it should be exciting to see what he can do on the team. That puts him up to 8. I think they've got 3 support, 3 DPS, a flex, and a tank. So they're really kind of, yeah, we'll see. And I give them a big thumbs down.
Can I give them lower than the 20th out of 20 teams?
They have pretty good
they
branding.
Will go in 40.
If you combine
Nobody.
season 2 and 3.
Nobody will go 0-40 because there's only 28 games.
Poor Shanghai. All right, so last we have Boston, who added support Alamo. Well, why did he add an A? That's weird.
Ali Mayo.
I don't know much about him.
The only thing I will add to him is there's been one super, super dominant team. He's from Brazil.
Isn't he the only Brazilian player in Overwatch League right now?
He is the only one with a full Overwatch
Contract.
League
Gotcha.
contract. There is one player, his teammate there's one team, Brazilian Gaming House, has won South American Contenders 3 seasons in a row. This present season, they have not lost a map. They basically are You know, they're up
Dominating.
here. Everyone else is down there. So
But what's their competition like, right? Like if they were
there's
to
none.
play someone in NA or Korea or China, like
Yeah. That's why it's kind of like Australia. You don't see many. You hear about this talent down in Australia, but you're not seeing many of them up here.
Well, there's just no way to tell. I mean, they don't have opportunities. I mean, if you're out in Australia, your connection is just is bad.
Mhm. And that's the problem is I can't remember the name of the other person that was signed to Klaus, I think it was. But he's in contenders right now, and he has to play in NA contenders from Brazil.
See, that's crazy. Well, but I don't know what the connection is like in Brazil. I just know Australia has a lot of woes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's cool. He's quite good though. But I think Boston signed them, and we talked about this a lot on Heroes Never Die about how Boston seems to be going though. We're gonna sign all the cheap players, and then once they become good, we trade them away for assets or more money and stuff like that. So this is somebody they probably were able to sign that's good for literally probably next to nothing, like league minimum style money, just to get, because they'll take whatever, because South American contenders, you don't get paid much. Even if you win
I don't.
everything, you don't get paid.
Yeah, I don't think contenders really across the board really all makes that much. But the last thing I wanted to hit on was the hashtag ReworkMercy craze that all the pro players, the big streamers, the big YouTubers have all been hitting on. I wanted to get your thoughts on it first, Ed, and then I wanted to get Mel's as a Diamond Mercy player.
Okay, I'm gonna say this while she has stepped away.
Ha.
I'm all for Mercy rework, but I've always, and I will always stand by this, the Mercy rework has to include deleting Res. I think Res is probably one of the most broken abilities in any first-person shooter game. Any type of like PvP, a Res is just broken. Mercy, no matter what, will always have a place in the meta. Hi, welcome back, Mel.
And I would have to agree because her res ability makes her professionally viable when she literally is the only character in the game that just supports. The only time she can do any actual damage to anyone else is to pull out her pistol and lose all of her other, great
listen, she's got a
abilities.
scary blaster, okay?
It is scary, but it's just there's no reason to pull it out, and that's the problem.
That's what she said. I had to. You set me up perfectly. But, all right. I will say this. You will never be able to actually balance Mercy as long as she has the res.
I disagree completely.
You have to balance around the res, though. And
Correct,
that's a
but
problem.
I think they did that. How often do you see a res occur unless it's on a player that's in the back line or it's after a fight, right?
Mhm.
So, like, I think they did a good job of balancing res. I think the problem with Mercy right now is the reason the pro players are so anti Mercy is because she doesn't require a lot of mechanical skill, and there are other main healers that do. And so they want to play those, right? They want to show off their abilities. Mercy requires other skills, but her other skills don't translate to other heroes, right? So her skills of flying around and positioning and all of that, they don't translate to any other hero. That's why we saw so many Lucio mains plummet as Mercy mains, aka Dak, in the Overwatch League Season 1, right? Like, Mercy's such an easy player to play. Why can't all these pro players pick her up, right? Because she's so different. She doesn't have anything in common with any other player.
Yes. But I will say all of her abilities probably have to be under-tuned a little. Because if they were tuned on the same level as all the other healers, like her healing, like since she can only really do healing output and she can do damage output. That's mainly what she's there for. Is those two things. If she didn't have that res, that stuff would be higher. They can't have that higher, her healing output or her damage output higher, because if you do, then she goes back into the broken phase of of the Overwatch League,
Right.
because like her healing will be top of the line, her damage output or damage boosting will be top of the line, and then add on top of that she has a res, and then she'll be back to 98% pick in every Overwatch League game, which is not something they want.
Yeah,
Right.
and
But I think
I
for
think
the most part,
Mel, I think Mel hit on a good point. Is that the pro players, most of them, what I can see, are complaining about like the gameplay of Mercy and not really the balancing. They want her to be more rewarding to play, and because all the other healers are, I mean, you could frag out as all of the other ones. And I mean, even Lucio can have some major battles, major impact damage wise on the game. But you have to truly, like, Mercy's the only true support where she just empowers another person tremendously and, keeps the team topped up. So I think that's a very good point. But we
it's an
are,
unglorified position,
It
right?
is.
Like, because you don't get to have those major impact plays, right? Like your little player icon shows up very tiny next to the DPS that killed the person because you were damage boosting them, right? Those are the types of things that I feel like make people not want to play her. But at the same time, you have to realize, like, I don't think her res is what's making her broken. I think her damage boost on certain heroes is making them overpowered, right? So, like, you have an Ashe right now with a good Mercy who's damage boosting her. She can one shot a lot of different characters. She can be much more effective than if she doesn't have a Mercy damage boost. You have a Pharah in the sky with a Mercy pocket. That's huge, right? But I
Mhm.
don't think players want to play a character that is purely just there to help somebody else not get any glory, right?
yeah,
Yes.
the Overwatch League is full of wide receivers and there's no offensive linemen. You know what I mean? Like there's very few people that are okay with not being in the limelight. Like tanks and support have so much impact on the game, but everybody perceives the DPS as the carries when the DPS does good when the tanks and support come in. I mean, you saw the Gladiators stage 1, their DPS couldn't do hardly anything. They get fissure in. All of a sudden, they are just destroying. Hydration toted is one of the best DPSs. Surefour toted is one of the best DPSs. It was night and day, and so that's why, especially since the Lucio players had to go play Mercy, they were used to being much more of an impact and just the perception of feeling like they were doing more.
Right.
Mhm.
And it is true. When you're Lucio, you're more in the fight, right? Than you are as Mercy. You're more of an outside character. But I do think that like things like Jonak really did not help this epiphany, right? Because Jonak got all the limelight as a DPS healer esque player when, to be honest, most of his
He
success was in large part to Arc.
Yeah, he had some of the lowest heals in the entire league
Mhm.
of any Zen. He just had the highest damage. More the middle of the line was
Boombox.
Boombox. Yeah, Boom I think is probably one of the best Zens. That's a team player.
Right, but I guess
Jonak
bringing
is
it back to
just
Mercy, though, Jonak was Jonak because of Arc, and
yes.
Arc
And
got zero credit.
I think Ark was the only one that enjoyed playing Mercy in season 1 of Al. Ark is just a good dude and wants to like that dude will give you a hug if you're a stranger and you're crying. Like that dude is just a
He is
good
so
dude.
sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sexiness of like playing like a Lucio Zen, something like that. You want something that you can show off on. Mercy is 100% not that person. Mercy is a person who hides around the corner and has a little blue or gold beam attached to someone. Like,
And then flies away when somebody comes after
yeah,
you.
and then when you see somebody from the other team, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Like you jump, like, because jumping is going to prevent all the damage coming to you. And then you're like, somebody, I just need to press my shift button quickly.
You just go around the corner just a tad. Like, why are you
if they try to make her more sexy, like damage output, like something she can do to like be on the kill feed, be more in the match, I'm 100% about that.
Cool.
Just get rid of Reth.
All right, well, we are running a little long, so we're going to move on. Possible home game cities. Now, Mel did a lot of research on this, so I'm going to turn it over to her, and me and Edna just might cut in and ask her a question or two as we go through this fairly quickly.
Okay, so bear with me because there is a lot of mixed reports and weird things about home arenas and whatnot. So I guess what we're trying to do here is look at what are the possible cities that could host or possibly will host these road games in season 2, right? Because we know that there's going to be road games. Now we want to know where they are so we can all plan on going to one close to us, right? So I think we'll start at the top, like Boston. Boston, there is Agnes Arena at Boston University, which recently packed 5,000 fans to cheer on a professional gamers in an esports league type of scenario. It wasn't Overwatch League, but that is an option. They have that, and you also have Robert Kraft too.
Guarantee he was one of the first people to invest in the league. I guarantee he wants a home game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then we have Dallas. So looking at Dallas, who they just opened the esports stadium in Arlington, and it's new. It's it's the largest dedicated esports facility in North America right now. So I think that there's a very big possibility that Dallas will get a game.
I think it's a very good possibility that I will be going to Dallas for this and not missing this.
Well, and I think there's a huge possibility it'll be Dallas-Houston.
It's got to be, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Ed talked about that on Heroes Never Die. It's a huge rivalry that they haven't been able to tap into. Yeah, they haven't been able to tap into it yet. You get the Valiant Gladiators rivalry there at the local stadium, really, really big. But the Dallas-Houston one, I think, can be bigger.
Right. I agree.
I think this is the one that if I'm putting out, if I'm a gambling man, and I am, this is the one I'm putting money on happening. And yeah, Houston and Dallas and Boston, New York are like the two that I'm just like, yeah, no, that's happening.
Right. So I think Houston, though, speaking of Houston, they've got like a $70 million development esports arena in Houston right now. And what was funny was when I was researching, there was a lot of talk about the Arlington arena. The manager of the stadium or of the arena works directly with Optic Gaming, who is Houston Outlaws. Right? But I'm pretty sure that the Arlington arena is going towards Dallas. I think they've announced that.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. And I think Hestro's involved in it. He told me he would come on the show, so I could ask him if he came.
Arlington's like 25 minutes from Dallas. It's like 3.5 hours from Houston, right? So it wouldn't really make sense for it to be the Houston arena. But there is news that Houston has this new arena. Whether it'll be up and running for the home games, that'll be interesting to see what maybe they do a double header, right? Maybe they do 2 games in a week, one in Dallas, one in Houston. But then you're going to minimize the crowds. You're going to get it both, right? Because people go from Houston to Dallas or from Dallas to Houston to see their team. They're not going to go to both. Well, maybe they will. All right, so next one, Florida Mayhem. So Florida Mayhem, there's the American Airlines Arena, and Mayhem and Misfits have hosted watch parties at this esports events and all sorts of stuff. There's also the ESPN Disney Esports Arena in Orlando, which I think we have to heavily consider because of ESPN's involvement in the Overwatch League.
Florida, Atlanta, Disney. It
Right.
makes sense.
I mean,
Everything points to that being
Right.
one that would be a
ESPN
smart decision.
and Disney, both investors in Overwatch League. Florida Mayhem could go there, do a home game. I think, my opinion, I think we're going to see one there, but we'll see. Next is London Spitfire. So London Spitfire, the Tottenhams, I don't know how to say that. It's a UK football club. They have a new arena with a dedicated theater for esports. And so they're partnered with, they're also partnered with Code Red Esports for their home venue, but there's not a lot of information on when that will be up and running, right? But they do have an arena there, and I know they're going to want to do something overseas. I don't think that all the away games are going to be in the US.
Yeah, this would be. They have a lot of UK fans, so this would be prime and pretty cool.
Right. They
Yeah.
also did host the Gilded Gala where Houston went over there, a couple players from Houston at the Copperbox Arena in London. So that's also a potential option. They've already had a little bit of exposure there.
Yeah, the tricky thing with all this is the scheduling. Just because with international travel, you're taking essentially 3 days of travel, like to and from, like combined, probably 2 to 3 days. And you like if it's Spitfire versus Paris, which is most likely what it would be, they would have to probably both have off the following week.
Well, and I think that's the addition of bye weeks, I think is very critical in this international travel, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I think they have to show that they are willing to travel.
Well, and
Yeah, otherwise none of this is going to work.
Exactly.
Well, okay, that's something we did. I'll just hit on it real quick. But the bye weeks are really cool because there's a handful of teams that have 2 games in week 1, but then they'll have less games over here, and then they'll sometimes they'll have 1 game. So it's kind of like the Chiefs played Sunday, and they're gonna have to play again 4 days later, Thursday night, and it's just kind of a cool dynamic to be like, oh, they have less time to prepare this week for this team and this team, whereas it's just another dynamic to the league that's just kind of neat.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think that I think we will see 2 in the US, 2 home games in the US. I think we will see 1 probably in the UK, and then I think we'll see 1 somewhere in Asia.
I would actually say there wouldn't be one in Asia. Only one. If they decide to do Asia, they have to send all. They have to send all the teams because really they do, and do it over like 2 weeks. Because how are you going to go to China and be like, well, we only decided to pick these 2 teams.
Fair enough.
And the other 2 Chinese teams, we're not gonna do. I mean, I could see them skipping Asia for now.
But I guess how do you explain that to the Asian fans with like, what? We have so many teams. You don't want to pick one to send over here. Maybe we should only have 1, right? Like, I feel like that's
you could send all the Chinese teams over, not send Seoul. But you could send all the 4 Chinese teams over and have them like 2 matches, and then give 2 the week off before, and then the other 2 the week off after.
I think you guys are missing a key component here. Any road game they do is going to have a full crew, meaning casters and all of that. I think they're going to do at least 3 matches at whatever remote location they do, at least 3 to 4, because they're going to want to sell that arena out for a whole Overwatch small tournament length time. Like they're not going to have just one
You
game.
think they're gonna do like a full day's schedule? Okay, you have to think of cost of that though. Like sending 8 teams to Asia is gonna cost an arm and a leg for 1 week of Overwatch League, right? Like,
But if they sell out a rather large arena and they sell a lot of concessions, it makes it worthwhile.
And the teams would have to pay for their players to go over there.
right.
Like, I mean, I could see them sending 4 teams over there. I don't know about a full 8-team, 4 over there. I could see them doing that. See the reception. Seoul is the odd team out just because they don't have somebody to play in South.
Right.
But
But-
you send the 4 Chinese teams over there.
We did get off task a little bit. Mel, why don't you go ahead and finish this out?
Yeah, so I mean, I looked into the LA Gladiators and LA Valiant, but obviously they're not going to have home game cities or home games. They're going to have all home games. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
they get them all the time. Lucky.
And then the San Francisco Shock has partnered with UC Berkeley. So there is the potential for them to have a game there if that were something. But again, San Francisco isn't that far away from where they're at right now. So I don't feel like that's an option either. The other ones I couldn't really find a whole ton on. So that's pretty much all I got.
Well, nobody wants to go to Canada because we all hate Toronto because they prevented a Chicago team. And
Sure.
the only other city that I honestly thought of with this, I'll just throw this out there, they don't actually have an Overwatch League team, but it's Vegas.
Right. Vegas has a lot of.
The Luxor has an esports arena in the casino.
Mhm. The
Mandalay
problem with
Bay.
that, though, is I think their goal is regionalization, right? That's why they're doing these games.
Yeah, but Vegas transcends all of that. Like,
Maybe, but Vegas is also only like 4 hours away from Burbank, right? Or LA?
About
Yes.
5, yeah. 4 to 5.
yeah, but I mean, the thing is if they have it they have the Mandalay Bay Sports Arena where they have the League of Legends stuff. They have the MGM Garden Arena where they have the boxing matches, which is something that I think they could actually sell out instantly. They also have
My
the
thoughts are-
actual esports arena in the Luxor. So
What if they did away games in home cities and then we have the grand finals in the Vegas?
as long as I can go and gamble on it, I'm going.
I think
That's
would
all
be
I
more-
care about.
I think that'd be more appropriate, though, right? Like you want to have the grand finals in no one's home arena, right?
Oh yeah, it has to be a neutral area.
Right. Which everybody thought NYXL was going to go to the grand finals, and that would have been really crappy, right? But then
Mhm.
LA had been in their home arena the whole time, so it didn't really matter. But if you're introducing these away games, then I think that you have the opportunity to put the grand finals in Vegas.
Yeah. Man, they just need to do something in Vegas. I'm obsessed with Vegas. So
Oh gosh.
I've never been to Vegas, so that would be an excuse to go.
I
But
think I'm on 16 times.
oh wow.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the week 1 schedules. We ran a little long here, guys, so I'm going to say let's pick
We
out.
can review this next week.
Do you want to pick out? I was gonna give you a chance to pick out one game you wanted to talk about, possibly on the day 1 schedule. Just one game you're excited about.
Well, I'll go first
Me.
because I'm excited about Houston playing the Outlaws because I think the Houston Outlaws playing the Uprising because I'm pretty sure the Uprising is going to go. So that should be fun.
Now this one.
Now this one. I'm excited for Shanghai versus the Hanzu Spark. The Spark are my team. They're my team this year. So
Poor Shanghai. Why did they have to put them against another Chinese team? Like, come on, like give them a week or
Nope.
something.
Nope. So out of this, we're gonna see the best new expansion team. And
What
yes,
if they get beat by Shanghai?
it's not possible.
I think
I
this
love the spark.
could be Shanghai's first win.
Ednar, I hope they get beat by the Shanghai Dragons and I can
No.
just totally troll you.
It's
I mean,
not gonna happen.
this coming from the guy that picked his team as the Mayhem, and it just never.
Oh yeah,
came.
no, that changed real quick.
Yeah.
That was ugly.
Listen, I stuck with the Outlaws all through our Tracer woes.
Yeah, but the thing is, you stuck with them through Jake, and you still have Jake.
I know.
What about?
But this guarantees a win for China. First Chinese
does.
win in Overwatch
First Chinese
League
win.
will happen day one between the winning team and the Shanghai Dragons.
Truth.
Fair enough.
What about day 2? What are you most excited about, Ed?
Were we just doing day 1 and day 2?
Yeah,
I
she
went
picked
day
day
two.
4.
Day 2.
Yeah, way to go, Mel. I'm gonna go with the one that actually is fuel versus the shock. That hurts me on the inside to bring up the fuel.
That should hurt you.
But I'm actually more interested to see what the shock does because they literally have
All the
27
DPS.
DPS.
every DPS. Like they
All
have more
your
DPS than New York.
All your DPS
I feel
belong
like
to
we
us.
should give them Dante back so that they can hoard more of the DPS. Like, what the heck?
Be like if 6 DPS ever becomes meta with no tanks or healers, the shock are going to destroy all of you.
Done.
What about you,
That's probably
Mel?
the one I'm most excited for.
Mel, what about you?
For day 2?
Yeah.
Well, Houston versus Defiant.
Okay.
Wait, Pacific time. What is Pacific time versus Mountain time?
1 hour earlier.
So
So
it starts at 5 for me?
5.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
thank God. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is it's against Canada, so
Yeah, but
Yep.
I like to watch my team destroy.
For
true.
those
That
who
will happen.
do not know, Pacific time, if you're Mountain, add 1 hour. If you're Central, add 2 hours. If you're Eastern, add 3 hours. Simple math, write down your key, and you will be good. But that being said, I am most excited for the Atlanta Reign versus the Florida Mayhem, because my boy DeFred gets to play. Oh, DeFred's in the Overwatch League, yeah.
Wait, are you saying that just because I picked shock?
No,
A little bit?
dude, I've been toting DeFran forever. So this is where I finally get to rub it in those High Noon Podcast guy's face. Take it, Deathblow. Take it, Blevins. It's not a meme. It's real.
I hope that he gets benched. He
But
already quit once. Like, come on.
hey,
Yeah, I mean,
we
who
want
says
the
he's not
story.
suspended?
We want the story of a lifetime. A distraught youth fights adversity and becomes the best player in the Overwatch League. Can you hear it? Woo, woo.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be
Day 3.
wonderful. Yes, day 3. What are you most excited about, Mel?
I think Spitfire Paris Eternal has got to be a great game, right? Like, I think just the rivalry that we want to see, hopefully, comes out a little bit. I don't know how close of a game it's going to be, but
Hey
Could be
man,
exciting.
don't count out Shadowburn and Soon as a dynamic duo.
Shadowburn's already been benched.
Yes, but
He
he's
got benched.
he got
he's been-
benched the week after he had a 5K on point 2 of Temple of Anubis. You know what I mean?
That's
Like, I
because
mean,
that's
EQO
because
was
he
just
held-
better.
That's
EQO is
because he
the
held
best
his-
player in the league. So, Of
He held his
course.
ult for like 9.5 minutes.
he really did.
yeah,
Uh,
but he
so-
always gets some major.
Well, yeah, but how many kills did somebody else get with 7 Genji ults in between the time that he waited for his 5 kill with 1 Genji ult?
But he was doing that because
Technicalities.
it was point 2 of Anubis, the hardest point to take in Overwatch.
So he could have used it 6 times before he got it back. That's all I'm saying. Fine.
Okay, so send your emails to Mel because Mel's the one that thinks the Shadowburn is not good. Do not send them to me.
Nope,
I
you can send them to me too. I don't think Shadowburn is the starter past week 1.
Shots fired.
too.
Shots
I don't-
fired.
Yeah. I'm looking forward most to seeing the Shanghai Dragons go 0-42 when they play the Vancouver Ways.
A
I will.
Canada team? You're rooting for a Canada team?
The thing is I will not ever call them the Vancouver Titans. They're the Vancouver Runaways.
They're
But,
the
yeah,
Yetis.
No, they're the Runaways.
Or as I was corrected in the Omnic Lab Discord earlier, it's a Bigfoot, dude. Sorry, man. I didn't know. I don't know.
It looks like a Yeti.
Are they?
It should be a freaking Titan, is what it should be.
A Yeti is all right. A Yeti is Bigfoot for Canada. Like
it's Bigfoot with
Canada,
more fur.
There's snow everywhere. They basically bathe in it up there. Like, why would you want to live up there? I don't know. I'm going on a Canada rant.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
right.
not
I already
really
answered
excited.
day 4, so your call here, babe.
Oh, well, I was still on day 3.
Oh, sorry.
But day 3, I think I'm with Edinar, but for a different reason. I just want to see Runaway. I don't enjoy the poor Shanghai Dragons' angst and sadness.
Okay, Shanghai's 100% a new team this year, so like.
Yeah, but Runaways.
But
are
Gaguri's
the
still
best
there.
Korean team.
Gaguri is good.
Yeah, Runaway, dude. I'm pretty sure they're going to run away with this victory. But day 4, what are you most excited about, Ed?
I'm gonna go with Gladiators versus. I want to see the Gladiators line up. In my mind, out of the teams that aren't expansion teams, they actually improved the most. Even they got rid of Fissure, and I still think they improved the most. With Roar, Panker now, Decay on the DPS line, like they have a pretty deadly duo over there. So I'm very excited for the Gladiators this year.
I am super excited for the Seoul Dynasty and Dallas Fuel rematch. One of the biggest hyped matches in week 1 of last season. I want some revenge.
I'll give my answer for day 1 now because I went to day 4 first. How about that? So nobody mentioned the fact that the Overwatch League Finals rematch is game 1 of day 1. Fusion versus Spitfire. That's going to be huge.
They weren't even the 2 best teams.
They were the 2 best teams.
New York is a better team.
Houston was a better team, I know.
But Houston isn't even the best team in the state of Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me right now?
I went there. At the end of the
right
season,
mind would ever put Dallas above Houston.
Except the playoffs in stage 4.
First of all, as a city or as a team. So, no.
I mean,
Houston's hot. Houston's
the only
nasty
thing you have
hot.
to look at is, hey, at the end of season 1, who was in the playoffs? I'm trying to remember in stage 4.
Was stage 4?
Was it Dallas or was it Houston?
Dallas. Oh, it was Dallas.
Dallas was in there. I don't believe.
Don't believe Houston made it anytime after stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, shocker.
Listen, sorry, the dive meta came into play, and we didn't have a tracer, okay? So we did a very good job, I think, with what we had.
Of putting Jake on tracer? Yeah, that was real smart.
What was our other option?
Not playing tracer?
Clockwork? Because Clockwork wasn't any better.
Just not playing tracer.
Clockwork was worse.
Free
Maybe
Mendo.
It was the fact that they played Boink, okay? Boink was a horrible mercy.
Boink was definitely the problem. Boink was definitely the problem. But we have ran long. We're going to wrap the show up. Is there any last words you guys want to say about any little piece? Speak now or forever hold.
Oh, Totem asked a good question. So what will Houston's excuse be this season?
They won't need an excuse because they're going to kick your butt. That's their excuse.
We did have a hamster player.
Yeah, they didn't have a proper Zarya player. Yeah, we'll go with that.
We have the best Zarya player.
Who?
I forget his name.
You got rid of Clockwork, who was a fantastic. No, it's not Clockwork. It's
Clockwork was a horrible player altogether. I mean, I love Clockwork. I think you're a great person.
No, what's his? Yeah, what is their Zarya's name?
No
Did they still have him?
Yes.
Huh. I'm blanking on it. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter @AlRecap. If you want to say something a little longer, send your emails to contact@ourrecap.com. You can also find us squatting in the Omnic Lab Discord. Join us by typing discord.me/OmnicLab into your web browser of choice. We stream live every week on Twitch. Join us at twitch.tv/OurRecap. Additionally, you can see the live version of the show on YouTube shortly after we record, when I remember. Lastly, how can you, the listeners, support the show? Well, I am glad you asked. You can support us for free by listening and telling your friends about the show. You could go one step further and leave us a rating or review on iTunes. We read all 5-star reviews on the show, and we try to learn from the bad reviews that contain constructive feedback. If you feel compelled to support us even further, please feel free to go to patreon.com/OurRecap. You could pledge $1 or more per episode. We have some cool additional content planned for season 2, and we are trying to budget the new equipment required. All right, Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch, or you can find me over at the Calvary to get your Overwatch general news.
What about you, Mr. Ed NR?
You can find me on Twitter at @EdnarOverwatch. I also am the co-host on Wednesday nights at Heroes Never Die podcast. We are part of the Overwatch League network, where we do have a couple of shows led by Totem, who has like 40 shows. And then
I would just say Totem from everything.
Totem is the new BlazzinBob.
Yeah, Totem and Bob basically take up 70% of all podcasts.
No, I quit. This is my only one now.
And then we will be a teaser. We will be doing a fantasy podcast coming up starting in January. So info to come on that, where I can nerd out more, complain about Houston's DPS line. Don't draft them.
You should draft their tank line, though.
Yes, you should. You should not draft their DPS line, because Lord knows, maybe they need a Doomfist, and then you guys are just screwed. And you'll be like, Jake can do it. Jake can do everything.
Jake can do anything.
No, he can't.
Jake can do anything better than you.
So, yep, that is where you can find me.
All right, yeah. So follow Ed or Totem to get some information on the new show that might be starting. It sounds pretty interesting to me.
Although it sounds like about a bunch of Outlaws haters, so maybe you shouldn't follow.
Well, I mean,
Ednar's just a hater. He's just a hater.
I mean, it's not like
if you like Canada or Outlaws, if you're a fan of Canada, Dallas.
No. like if you come up to me like, I'm a Houston out Quebec, I'd be like, I'm out.
And we're done.
And I can't talk to you without offense.
Last and certainly least, you can find me on Twitter at Blazzin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can also check out my personal Twitter at BlazzinBob. I've been streaming some Hearthstone if you guys are interested in that. And
Twitch, you mean?
Oh yeah, Twitch. What'd I say?
Twitter.
Oh yeah, doing that new Twitter streaming. I don't know.
Like,
follow me on Twitter and you'll find it. But that's gonna do it for tonight. Thank you all for joining us, and to all a good night.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. All right, raiding time. I'm finding somebody.
Is Bonnie playing?
We're gonna do this one. I've got all kinds of Overwatch streamers. She's playing Mercy, so it's fitting.
Who is it?
Dell. I don't know.
Does she have a lot of viewers? We don't want to do somebody with a lot of viewers.
I disagree with you there.
Okay.
I think the more viewers they have, the more people see your name.
True.
It's just my opinion.
But
I could be
we're here
wrong.
to support the little guy.
And well, we want to support ourselves too. Everybody join the raid. Tell them we sent you, and I don't know anything about this streamer. She might be cool.
So I was going through on Twitch, be like, where's the Overwatch tab to see who's streaming? And I'm like, I can't see the Overwatch tab. Yeah, they changed the Twitch picture to
I know, I
Krampus.
saw that too. It's like I was like, where's Overwatch? It's on the top games. What is happening right now?